all. This is Madhusharad Modalgiriya with student ID P00139253. The topic is about modern honeypot network. Let me give you an overview of this MHN. MHN is an open source platform which manages different types of honeypot sensors, and it simplifies the honeypot deployment, uses HP feeds, MemoSign, Animap, and MongoDB for data processing. HP feeds mainly used to collect the data of the sensor. MemoSign is used to index the data to MongoDB. Animap is a visualizing. Animap is used for visualizing purpose, and the data to Animap will be fed by HP feeds. And MongoDB, yeah, obviously it is used to store the data and for further search. So MHN does collects all this data and analyze it via these projects. So going further, I have search analysis and visualization tools where I used Splunk. A Splunk, what does it do is like it reads the data, machine generated data logs in real time and converts it to a searchable form and helps visualizing those logs in kind of graphs and charts. Also, I have used one more visualizing tool called ELK, Elasticsearch, Logstash, and Kibana combined of it is called as a stack where Elasticsearch is a search engine, Logstash is a server-side data pipeline uh, thing which collects the data from various inputs and forwards that to Elasticsearch. Kibana reads this data and helps in visualizing the data in kind of charts and graph using the platform ELK. So these are the sensors that I have used in this project. There is Kauri, Elasticani, Diania, P0F, Snort, and Suricata. Let me go one by one. Yeah, so Kauri, it's a medium to high interaction SSH and telnet honeypot, designed mainly to capture the brute force attacks and shell interaction. Also, it captures the unique username and password combination. And there's an unique feature in this Kauri. It is like it records the session logs in a UML compatible format. In the sense, if the attacker entered into the system and executed some commands, it will be recorded and it will be stored in a log file where the security team can enter into that log file and can replay the logs so that they can get to know what attacker has executed in the system. That's one good feature here. And going further, I analyzed top username and password combination. The most used username and password combination is nproc, and a few of the default password for Raspberry Pi devices and Postgres, a well-known database management system, is used. That is Pi Raspberry for Raspberry Pi devices, and Postgres is for database management tool. So the next is top attackers IP. It is from the logs and Splunk. It is noted that the topmost attack has been done in Ireland, accounting 46% combined by two IPs, that is 28% and 18%. And these IPs were owned by Global Air BV, and the attack has been performed by bot. What that this bot did is like it downloaded a URL which is a malicious. How it responded by feeding this URL to VirusTotal. I got the SHA-256 and I analyzed this SHA-256 in Alien Vault, where I got that malicious has been categorized under Perl shellbot, Wind Trojan, and backdoor. So top command I used. The one of the rare command which has been executed many times in the system is this one. Analyzing this URL via VirusTotal, it gave an SHA-256 and feeding this SHA-256 to Alien Vault gave an information about the URL that it is a malicious and it comes under Linux DDoS XR. So what does this Linux DDoS XR is? It is used by the attacker to spread DDoS using ELF in a large scale. So moving further, so the next is human versus bot interaction, which I did using Tango Honeypot intelligence app for Splunk. What I did is like I collected all the Cowrie log from the server and I merged into a single file and then feed that Cowrie.log file into Tango Honeypot intelligence app. So wherein it analyzed and gave an output. So how this assessment went on. It is like based on the timestamps of the interaction. If the interaction uh, in where the number of commands entered seems suspicious, that is the length of the sessions are identified. And then if it is less, then it will be identified as bots. If the interaction that are longer, it will be identified as human. So based on this analysis, the Tango intelligence gave a result like 99% of them bot and only 0.26 are human. We can see the number of attacks here. It's human is only 155 and the bot interaction is around 58,348 thing. So moving further, Elastic Honey, the next sensor which I used, which is meant to capture the RCA vulnerabilities in Elasticsearch. So what does this vulnerability is like? It allows an attacker to remotely bypass the sandbox protection and execute the shell commands. So all this analysis are stored in a JSON format in a an Elastic Honey.log file. So here it is found the top attacker countries uh, is United States accounting 45% and China is of 42%. This assessment is done using GeoIP, a tool. The next is top signatures, which has been recorded. There are two types of signatures here recorded. It's like Elasticsearch recon attempted and Elasticsearch exploit attempted. So recon is of 92%, exploit is around 7.9%. That's it. So recon, the attacker tried to gather the information of the system. If the attacker finds that it is honeypot, he may proceed with the attacks or may move on. So I think based on the log and the graph, it can be said that 92% they scanned and they left, and only 7.9% continue to attack. Okay, from the 7.9% of attacks, that is like exploits done, I have collected these payloads, which is like a new string we get of so and so URL. So here the first new string is used to exploit the Elastic honeypot. The next two things are used for cryptocurrency mining, and these two URL what uh, this thing does is like it downloaded a update.sh, sysupdate, sysguard, and network service into the server. To update.sh, it just updates the scripts and runs as a cron job in the Linux. Sysupdate, it's a famous known tool, XMring miner. It's an open source tool and it is for crypto miner. And it is downloaded that one. The next sysguard, it's used for as a watchdog to make sure the scanner and the miner thing are up and running. The network service, it is used to scan the vulnerable machines and to spread the malware further. So tracing this IP, it gave an insight that the attack was done and executed from China. So moving further, I've got curious and analyzed the payload further. So like how I analyze this payload, I have downloaded the file elasticani.log from the server and went through the logs. So I found two interesting messages sent by attackers. One is like it's of a BT, like a Bitcoin thing. So one is one attacker asked them to pay 0.04 BTC to this address within 48 hours of to recover the data that has been encrypted. So if the host didn't pay within 48 hours of thing, the data will be leaked or exposed. And if the host is refused to pay, then the attacker will complain to GDPR, and it will take further actions that the data is not safe, so and so. And the attacker asked him to pay via Bitcoin, and if the host paid the amount, then he might have to send a DBIP to this mail. Where the attacker asked him to send a mail to recoverdb at mailnature.com to download the database dump. So the next message, it's a kind of Bitcoin again, but it's different of GDPR. So it is also says that the data has been backed up, and the person has to pay 0.04 BTC to this address to recover it. And yeah, he explained that where to buy the Bitcoin and how to uh, pay via Bitcoins. And after paying that, the same thing, the mail has to be sent to this ID, getbase at cork.ly, and the host will receive the database dump. So the next sensor which I used is Diania. It's a low interaction honeypot designed to store a copy of a malware, exploiting the vulnerabilities so exposed to a network provider. And it is a successor of Nepanthysis. Yeah, support, and it supports both IPv6 and TLS. Here I collected MD5 hashes, out of which 95% of them are related to WannaCry ransomware, and it does encrypts the files and infects other hosts. Uh, then until unless the host pays the money, the files will not be decrypted. That's one kind of virus. And the next is for 5% is characterized under Win32 small. It's a generic uh, malicious when infected performs various malicious actions on the computer. Going forward, next thing is port vulnerabilities. Yeah, here port 1900 recorded the highest one with 89.67%, which has a vulnerability to UPnP services, that is universal plug and play services, which leads to different attacks based on devices. Some cause denial of services, while some let the remote attacker execute arbitrary code. The next is my 445, which accounts 7.21%. It comes under Microsoft Directory Services for server message block. Use it for file sharing. It is found that SMB has information disclosure vulnerability. An attacker who exploits it, this it can lead and can access the system to obtain more information and compromise the user system. The next thing is MS SQL, which accounts 1.89% under the port 1433. Allows remote authenticator attacker to gain level of privileges and trigger buffer overflow, and even he can stop MS SQL server. The next honeypot is P0F. It uses a passive fingerprinting technique, and it is used to determine the operating system information of an attacker, analyze the TCP packet of a remote attacker to get configuration properties, and while doing these things, it doesn't create any network traffic. And the top OS used are like Linux 3.11, Windows 7.7 and 8, and other versions of Linux are used for the attack. And PCF attackers, the sensor has been deployed in 3 different locations like New York, San Francisco, and Bangalore. So most of the attacks are originating from China, Ireland, and Panama. Snort. Snort is not an honeypot, but it's an intrusion detection system. Recognizes attacks on network, uses a series of rules to analyze malicious activity, and using packets, it creates an alert. It works in 3 modes: sniffer mode, packet logger mode, and network intrusion detection system. The top 3 signatures have been recorded as like this: GPL ICMP info ping index, which is recorded from India, uh, and it's widely recorded over there. And it is recorded because whenever there's a ping received on the host from an unknown destination, this signature has been created. And the next is DShield block. If the IP address are stored in a DShield block list, and if the snort detects that IP address uh, logging, then it will create an alert like this signature. The ET scenes active threat intelligence. It CNS active threat intelligence identifies certain number of IPs. It's in its army list and scores them as bad IPs, neutral and good. If the rule declared in SNOT detects the IPs based on the group, it will categorize and alert signatures, and this signature will be created. Moving further, these are the top IP sources and destination ports that has been recorded in SNOT. So most of the attacks were done on destination port as 22 and 1433, which is an SSH and MSSQL. And the top countries, which it's almost similar: United States, Singapore, India, United States. The next is Suricata. I have deployed this Suricata using ELK as a visualization tool. Um, Suricata is not an honeypot; it's also an intrusion detection system, and it's an open source ideas developed by OISF. This has a features like offline PCAP processing and network security monitoring. I have analyzed the vulnerabilities here. The Suricata what does is like based on the rules declared, it just tries to get the CVE, which is vulnerability listed things. Here, vulnerability listed is CVE 200200013, and it created a signature called GPL SNMP public access UDP alerted. Um, it's an SNMP implementation which allows remote attacker to create a DOS attack on the host. Top signature alerts: ET drop shield, D shield, blocklist source group, that is explained in Snort. If the IP blocklisted under D shield makes an intrusion, then this signature is created, which accounted around 42% of the total attacks. And the service is used by the IP has been shown here, and it is listed under MIS category. So the next is top signature alerts. It's a ET scan potential SSH and scan outbound. This signature is created when there is a brute force attack done or it's detected, and this had categorized under attempt information leak, and the service is used as SSH. So this is the top attacker countries. It is which is analyzed based on geo IP, and the topmost is around United States, done around 58.96%. The second most is China, which is of 21.34%. Rest of the attacks are from different parts of the world. These are the top softwares used in attack. The topmost is like libSSH 0.6.3, which has vulnerability let the hacker to bypass the authentication without sign-in information. So coming to the conclusion, yeah, honeypots are very complex to deploy. There's a drawback out there. Modern honeypot network made that deployment of honeypots easy, and these projects are helping learning for security learning the security issues, providing hands-on experience and deployment of the deployments and analysis of different threats, and it made it easy. Amazon is very much useful in detecting and analyzing different kind of threats, and uh, threats may pose in future, and it provides the overall attacks made software used, protocols, port, vulnerabilities, and major country of the attack. And yeah, honeypot requires a future development and enhancements. If it is done, honeypots may attract the eye of the organization, and the organization which are not known about honeypots, they can get to know. And the finally, it is like it's not said that the threat can be mitigated permanently, but it can be controlled with a better support. Well, thank you for listening to me. It's Madhusharat with the student ID B00139253.